Hello and welcome to another webinar by Sunstone University. This is Sunstone's fifth trial class. Yes, we have completed 4 trial classes successfully so far, and this is the fifth trial class. Today's topic is HR Basics Performance Management. Sunstone University is India's only pay after placement MBA PGDM program. We partner with 9 leading campuses of the country at different locations. Sunstone University takes full accountability of students' career and reduces the financial burden of paying such a high fees for a management program. Today, we will be discussing human resources basics, performance management. Performance management is a tool that helps managers monitor and evaluate their subordinates' work. It is an iterative process of identifying, measuring, and enhancing the performance of individuals and teams with respect to organizational goals. The main aim of performance management is to create an environment where all perform the best of their abilities to produce the highest productive measures. Hi, Ronak. Today we have Ronak with us. Hi, Ronak. Hi, Ronak. Talking about Ronak, Ronak is the faculty with Sunstone University, Faculty for Human Resource Management. Ronak is a trainer with nearly 14 years of experience in HRM, soft skills, business writing, and communication. During these years, Ronak has worked with brands like Kingfisher Airlines and Training Academy, Genpact, Wins Training Institute, Jaipur National University, and so on and so forth, to name a few. Hi, Ronak. Welcome to the webinar.
Thank you, Hamid, for having me here, and thank you for giving such a humble and at length introduction. It is indeed a very important topic that we have chosen today, and it makes a lot of sense for everybody who wants to now plan career in management. Performance management has become very more important these days. We have seen different times. 2020 has taught us a lot of things. The whole system has been into topsies and turvies, and now we have to have new plans to fit ourselves in to this new system. And as the change has come, even the tools for performance management and the standards have completely changed. So
Absolutely.
yes.
So before we begin, Ronak, just wanted to understand before we start with the trial class, what exactly is performance management for anybody who is absolutely basic, who wants to study MBA in HR?
Right.
What is exactly performance management?
Harmeet, if you talk about performance management, every organization is now goal driven. They have
Correct.
specific targets, specific goals, and these goals are achieved through manpower that they have. For them to achieve their own strategies, they need to bring everybody on a platform where their performance could be managed, and the performance could be brought to a level where goals and specificities are matched. If that does not happen, both individual goals and organizational goals will be not achieved, and that would be the failure of the organization. Every employee has a part to play. So that part has to be vouched for, and that has to be reconciled with the standards that the organization has set for themselves. So to match their efforts, their time, and even they spend money on their daily routine. So this has to be matched and brought to a level where the goals are achieved of the organization.
Right. So I would request you to please begin the trial class.
Right, right. So I'll quickly share my screen and take everybody through. I welcome all the participants who have joined us, all the students who have joined us. This course and this particular session has been especially designed for them so that they get the long and short of what the performance management is all about.
Right. You are on mute, Ronak. If you can please unmute yourself. Yes.
Right. So before we begin, let us ask ourselves and the participants a few more questions. And before that, let us get into the objectives first. What are the clear objectives of this session? So the first one is, by the end of this subject, by the end of this particular session, we would understand how to define performance management. We would understand the feature of ideal performance management systems. Different companies have utilized different theories, strategies, and they have their own systems. What is the ideal system that we would get to know? Then what is the aim and role of performance management? What is performance management process? It is not just a task that we do and forget. It is a process. It has got steps. Every step is followed by the other, which is closely linked. Then we will get to know how PM is related with HRM. From now on, we are going to be calling performance management as PM. So how is it related with the human resource management? Then what is the strategic planning in performance management? So these are certain things that we would get to know in this session. Now, before we begin talking about it, Harmeet, I have a question for you.
Yes.
What do you think employees expect in an organization? What do we expect in an organization?
I think the first and most basic thing any employee expects in any organization is respect. I
Yes.
think respect is the most important thing. Respect and I think growth. I think
Okay.
it's very important for any individual to feel that he or she is growing along with the organization, individual growth and of course the team growth.
Right.
Both are very important. And I think the third thing what employees expect in an organization is of course recognition, hard
Mhm.
work, recognition of your hard work. I think these are the three basic things according to me.
You have not mentioned any part that is closely related with the monetary terms. You have not mentioned that. Everything that you have mentioned.
I think
Mhm, mhm.
I think growth is monetary growth as well as growth in terms of
Right.
learning. I think
Right.
growth in both terms. Yeah,
Right. That is the right word to choose. Otherwise, usually people narrow it down to the money part. That is not complete though. That is just a part of it.
absolutely, absolutely. I
Right.
think I think both are equally important.
Right.
If you grow, I think monetary thing will fall into place. But I think growing is more
Yes.
important. Yeah.
Yes, it is. It is. So let us see. We have got some very important things that uh, are a part of the expectations of the employees. So let us see that. So the first is, you were right that we have to be treated fairly and consistently. That means we have to go by the policies and everybody has to be put on the same page. They have to be treated with the policy and the standards set for themselves. No biasness, no special treatment. Then the other expectation that people have is job and career enrichment opportunities, which means that they should be put with different departments. They should be given more challenges and responsibilities so that they develop their skills and ability to take their career further on. The next thing is clear expectations. This is very important from the organization's point of view, that they must set very clear expectations. Otherwise, employees usually feel nonplussed. They feel that there is a lot of ambiguity, and then somehow they are not able to direct their efforts towards the organization's growth or their own growth. The next thing is that positive feedback must be given to them. And this must be done regularly. Everybody wants to improve. Everybody needs training at all levels. So it is the responsibility of the people to give them positive feedback every now and then so that they can improve upon their performance. Then involvement in goal setting. In organizations goal setting, involvement has to be made. Suggestions have to be taken from the employees. Advice has to be taken. So this is again a very important part of the expectations. The next is economic reward. This is something I wanted to mention early on. Yes, rewards that relate with monetary terms are also very important, and they could be done in many different ways. So these are certain expectations that an employee or employees have in an organization. So let us see what falls next. Why perform? Harmeet, I have got one more question for you. Why would you
Yes.
perform in an organization? You have got set goals and everything is fine for you, but then why would you want to walk an extra mile?
I think when somebody enjoys his or her work, I think why not? I mean, it's important for me to understand that in the last 10 days, I did something for the organization. I was productive. My team was productive. I think why not? Performance is, I think, the most important thing of all. I think
It
self motivation is very important.
it really is not only for the organization's growth, but for your own growth, a sense of satisfaction that you are now part of a bigger challenge, a bigger space that is contributing to the achievement of success. Now, let us see. The first, a very important point is to reach organizational missions and goals. We do write it on the websites and a lot of places, but then we rarely go back to these missions and these are the core of the business, the missions and the goals that have been set for the organization. The second thing is encourage and reward behaviors aligned with organizational mission and goals. Yes, it is these days all about the behavior that encourages the employees and the behavior that is aligned with the organization's and employees success. The next thing is curb or redirect non-productive activities. It is quite important for managers to see that employees should not get engaged into activities that have got no value and no addition to the commitment. Now, let us also understand what is meaning of performance. Usually people say that what would you call performance? I am coming to the office daily and I am performing my duties. Is that performance? So let us see what is the meaning of performance. The first thing is the accomplishment of an action, task, or function can be termed as performance. Yes, tasks are assigned to you, goals are assigned to you. If you are performing upon those actions and tasks, that could be called performance. Next is performance management includes the process used to manage corporate performance. Corporate performance means all the departments working in sync to achieve the common goal. And that is called manage corporate performance, for which we need to look into individual performance. Only then it could be clubbed and called a teamwork. The next is the methodologies that drive some of the processes and the metrics used to measure performance against strategic and operational performance goals. Here we can take the example of any sport. The most loved sport in the country is cricket. So every now and then we see that the structure of the team is changed according to the format. The structure of the team is changed. It is completely based on performance, whether you are scoring runs or you are taking wickets or you are playing your part well. So to keep your space in the team, you have to be performing all the time. We quite often listen to this, that this particular player is out of his form. What does that mean? That simply means that the player is not able to perform at the desired levels and there are few victories in the season. The same could be thought of the organization, where people, if they are not able to perform, they will be retrained, they will be given some advice and suggestions so that they can come better and again contribute the way it is expected. So that is performance. There is one more thing which is quite important these days. This is a new term in the market called soft performance. Most of the companies believe that the hard skills or the technical skills could be taught to the person by simulations. But there is one thing called soft performance, which means a behavior like citizen towards the organization, thinking that you are a very important part of the organization and involving yourself in all the things that are important to organization. That is called citizenship behavior. That means wearing the tag, feeling pride, having a sense of pride that you belong to this particular organization. That is expected by the employees. Now, we need to understand everybody's performing. What are performance standards? There must be something that guides you that I have to bring my performance to a particular level. What are those? That is performance standards. Now, performance standards are benchmark against which performance is measured. How would you measure performance? For every task, for every work, some standards are set. You have to match the performance. That means you have to see the outputs, whether they meet the standards or not. So the first is We have to identify relevant standards. Relevant standards means that we cannot be flamboyant, or we cannot be going beyond the glass ceiling. We have to be relevant in the market. We cannot expect Herculean tasks from people. They need to perform within the periphery of the area assigned to them. So first of all, relevant standards. Second, we have to select indicators, the points that would indicate that yes, the performance was at par, below, or higher than expected. Some indicators have to be set. For these, reports are made. For these, softwares are used these days to measure the performance. So indicators must be in place. Then we have to set goals and targets. Once the indicators are in place, we need to see in what time, by what measure the goals and targets are achieved, and then communicate expectations that yes, these goals are targets, and targets are set for you now. This is our expectation, and we want you to fulfill these responsibilities and goals, and these expectations have to be very clear for the employees. That is called performance standards. Now, let us also see some definitions of performance management. It is a continuous process of identifying, measuring, and developing the performance of individuals and teams, and aligning performance with the strategic goals of the organization. The most important point that we have to take from here is that it is a continuous process. These days, companies are changing their way they do performance management. Earlier, it would be done at the end of the year, but these days it has become a continuous process. Every now and then, every week, perhaps every month, you could be called to talk about your performance, and that is more important for the organization. Then it has got two major components. First of all, it is a continuous process, which I have mentioned already, and it has to be aligned with the strategic goals. A very vague goal could be that we have to increase our market size, we have to increase the scope of the services. That could be a very vague goal, but it has to be in a strategy. We have to have clear directions to achieve goals and what we are expecting in a time with the given funds and given resources. The next is, performance management is a corporate management tool that helps managers monitor and evaluate employees' work. You may have cameras, you may have softwares, you may have everything to monitor people, but that kind of micromanagement does not work these days. Managers have to sit at a place, they have to give goals to the employees, and employees must be self-motivated to achieve those goals. Now, how could they do it? How could they handle such a big team? For them, it is the performance management, a tool that helps them to monitor and evaluate employees' work through reports and softwares. Performance management goal is to create an environment where people can perform to the best of their abilities to produce the highest quality work most efficiently and effectively. There's this term called deep work. Deep work means when you are engaged in a particular activity, your cognitive power, your cognitive performance increases if you are constantly engaged. To increase this cognitive performance, you need to engage them into deep work. And that is what is expected by the employees. Now, let us read more about performance management. Like you mentioned in the beginning of this session, it is an iterative process of goal setting, communication, observation, and evaluation to support, retain, and develop exceptional employees for organizational success. Now, it is an agreed notion, agreed belief that wars are won by soldiers. So, for companies, the war, the competition is won by the kind of manpower they have, the kind of talent they have, the kind of skill pool they have. And to maintain, support, and retain such a pool, they need a system which is called, again, performance management system. So this figure clearly tells you what this is all about. We have to first of all plan, we have to set expectations. According to the expectations, we have to train and develop the employees. Further to this, if they do not follow or they are not able to follow the plan, we have to coach them. We have to further monitor whether they have learned and changed themselves. Then we have to give feedback, we have to appraise, and then we have to document everything so that this document could be shared as a proof or a report that could make them feel that yes, some changes have to be brought about. Now, another question, is performance appraisal and management same? There are two terms, performance appraisal and performance management. Are they the same? The answer is no, they are not the same. Both are different concepts, very different from one another. One becomes the part of the other, but they are different. Second is performance management, or PM, is a broader term. It includes appraisal as a part of the performance system. Now, what performance appraisal is? It is a systematic description of an employee's strengths and weaknesses. So at the end of the year, the HR manager perhaps, or the immediate manager, would sit with the employee and would tell them that these are your strengths and weaknesses. You have to work on your weaknesses. We could offer you a plan. We could offer you suggestions. We could offer you advices that you could follow and better your performance by working on your weaknesses. So this is just a report of strengths and weaknesses. But performance appraisal is an important component of performance management. So appraisal is a very narrow term which becomes a part of this broader term called performance management. Now, what is the purpose of performance management system? Why should we have this in place? It has to be made clear to all that to establish such a system, you need a lot of manpower, you need a lot of funds, you need a lot of time and effort to be invested to maintain such a huge system that takes into account the performance of the employees. So there has to be a purpose for such a big investment. Now, what is that? The first is it serves the strategic purpose of the organization. The purpose of the organization is very common. The purpose is that they have to increase their market value. They have to become more profitable, and at the same time they have to be responsible towards the society. So to keep everything into one basket and one pool and take them together, we need a system. And this is done by performance management system. Second is it provides information for reward system. We have known a lot of theories that have been given to us that people get motivated by rewards. We all get. So who has to be given the reward and who has to be put on a training or development program has to be decided by the system. That is why we need it. Otherwise, we cannot simply go on rewarding everybody. Somebody has to be given the red pill. So the other is it facilitates human resource decisions. Yes, a lot of decisions like separation or inclusion or promotion or deputation, all these decisions have to be made by the HR person, and with this system they can make these decisions quite easily. Otherwise it could be a very tricky situation for them. The next is it enables employees to learn about their performance. It is a kind of mirror that is shown to the people that this was how you were in the last year, and whether you like it or not, we appreciate whatever good you have done, and we have to tell you that the areas where you need to improve upon. So it serves like a mirror where real image could be shown to the employees. The next is it serves as a developmental purpose. Times are changing, new skills are required, new processes come, new softwares come. So to train the employees on all these new systems, we have to develop them through a lot of tools available. So this kind of development purpose is also served by performance management system, and it serves as organization maintenance purpose. We have to maintain the talent pool in the organization, and this really helps us to maintain that pool, and that could be used for the achievements of strategies and goals. And it also meets the legal requirements like basic qualification for the employees to have, the time that they have to spend with the organization. Everything that goes into legality is also can be taken from performance management system. Now the next is contributions to performance management. What could performance management do to an organization? First, motivation to performance is increased. If you perform well and you are told so, definitely you will feel happy that yes, my performance was recognized, it was put on papers, and I was appreciated and was given more opportunities, so people would be motivated. The next thing is it increases self-esteem. Self-esteem is increases by simply telling the employees that we are observing you. Every employee is considered as an important part of this organization. Your performance makes difference. So that kind of comment for the employees would definitely increase their self-esteem. The next is managers gain insight about subordinates. Managers these days have to do multitasking. They must be traveling, they must be getting engaged with a lot of different departments. So how do they get to know more about their subordinates? It is through performance management. They could simply read out from the report that what was achieved, what was not achieved, what weaknesses were found out, and so on, and then they can find out more about their subordinates and get connected well. Next is jobs are simplified. uh, if there is clarity, and if a particular area is given to me where I have to perform, I have been told the standards, I have been told the parameters on which I have to perform, then my job is going to become very simple. I know what I have to do. It is like that I have a guiding light when I'm driving my car on a dark road, so that guiding light tells me where to go. If you turn off your lights, you would not find your way. So this serves as the guiding light. The next is organizational goals are very clear. What is the organization expecting from an employee, and what goals does this organization have in terms of growth and establishment? Those goals also become quite clear. Employees become more competent. uh, they have a sense of attachment, they have a sense of belongingness, and then they want to compete with the other organizations and the employees in the same trade. So they try to improve themselves on the standards given to them. Then differentiation between good and poor performance. It is simple, like when we would not perform in a particular subject when we were in school, we would get poor grades, and that would be recorded in terms of A, B, C, or D. So similar treatment is given to employees, and at the time they are given these grades, they're also told how could they improve on their gray areas. Performances are communicated. It is very important for the employees to know whether they are performing at par or they are not performing at all. Otherwise, they would simply walk down the trails, and they would not even know whether it is being productive for the organization or not. And then change can be possible. uh, every now and then, every 2 3 years, the situations in the market, the trends, the way we operate, everything changes. New competitors come in, government rules change. This COVID has changed everything completely. So to bring about change in the organization is one of the most difficult tasks, but that this becomes easy when you have performance management system in place. Now, we have talked a lot about performance management. To go any further, let me check the understanding of people, and I would ask them a few questions, and I would hope that they would guess it right. So let us have the first question here. The first question says, supervisors should provide employees with feedback, development, and incentives necessary to help employees eliminate performance deficiencies or to continue to perform well. Should supervisors do that or not?
I
So it
think
is
I think I think they should do. I think it's
they
true.
yes, we do talk about self motivation, but having said that, it is very important from the supervisors that they should be telling that what is the level of your current performance. Okay, there is one more question for us. Which of the following terms to the process of evaluating employees' current or past performance relative to his or her performance standards? So we talked about two things. One was performance appraisal and performance management. So here there is only one term that makes sense, that it is performance appraisal, that gives the weaknesses and strengths of the employees. Fine. We have got a few more questions. Let's see. Uh, what is the process of stimulating people to actions to accomplish goals? And choices are promotion, motivation, or termination. What does motivate, or what does stimulate people to perform?
I think motivation, Ronit.
Yes, yes. You cannot be very strict, and you cannot
Hmm.
have anarchy in place where you terminate people to motivate them. No, that does not make sense. You have to motivate them, and then they would work for you. The next is, who is in the best position to observe and evaluate an employee's performance for the purpose of a performance appraisal? Who observes you closely? Is it the peers, customers, top management, or the immediate supervisor?
I think immediate supervisor knows.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
And this answer also tells us that it is very important for the immediate supervisors to be able to perform performance management. They should be able to appraise the performance of the employees. Fine. Let us take a few more. Employee describes the overall satisfaction that uh, employees feel at work. What is it? Attitude, performance, or morale? What will tell that they are feeling satisfied at workplace?
I think attitude. I
Uh,
think,
yes,
no?
yes, it does, but attitude then would not be visible to us. What is visible is performance.
Performance.
Yes,
Absolutely.
yes, because that is something that could be vouched for, that could be reconciled, and that could be made visible in terms of numbers and the calculations. So yes, the performance tells whether the employee is feeling satisfied or not. The last one for us here is, relationships between employees and management are not of substantial value in any workplace. That means there is no place for relationship between employees and management. Well, I don't think so. I think it is quite very important for the management to be connected with employees, and this gives them sense of belongingness, which is very
Right.
important for the employees. Fine. And I think most of our viewers must have got that right. We're going to continue with the presentation. So here we would now talk about the characteristics of an ideal performance management system. We have talked a lot about it, but what kind of system are we trying to put in place in the organization? The first point is, it should have a strategic congruence. That means the system should closely related with the strategy that we have set. Like Sunstone has a very unique strategy, so the system must be put in place to see whether employees, the people working in the organization, closely relate with the organizational goals. Second point is, it must have thoroughness. There are a lot of attributes that are taken into account to gauge somebody's performance. All these attributes must become a part of the system. Say it is the behavior, absenteeism, use of time, efforts, using skills and talent, everything must become a part of the system. Then it must have practicality. You cannot have reports that do not translate into numbers, that could not be compared with the old reports, that could not be put into a data from which a lot of information could be derived. It must be practical. It should not be confusing and should not have ambiguity. Then it should have meaningfulness. uh, Say a sentence is printed on a report saying that your performance was adequate, but what does that mean? That does not have any meaning. It must go into a specificity at what area of performance was good according to this report. Then it must be reliable, which goes on to say that the data could be used in real time to improve performance of the employees. If after releasing this important information, the performance is not improving, that has got no reliability, we cannot rely on these reports. Then it must be valid on the basis of documentation, the communication that we have had, the correspondence that we have had. It must be valid based on all those facts. Then there has to be acceptability. You cannot have a very stringent system in the organization these days. It is all about employee satisfaction, employees comfort, and giving them an atmosphere where they feel like working. So that kind of adaptability feature should be a part of the system. It must have inclusiveness, which again says that it must includes all the areas, directly or indirectly, where the employees are performing. It must have openness. Openness means that once the reports are generated, there could be there must be open dialogue about it. That why did this happen? Was it the organization's fault or was it the employee's fault? There must be openness to the report. You cannot simply rely on what is printed on the paper. Then correctability. There must be a system where if you think a particular attribute is not working fine or it is not relating with the performance at all, then we should be able to correct that feature. It should have a standardization. That means certain processes must be built according to the standards that we have set. It must have ethicality. Ethicality means different people come from different areas these days, different parts of the world these days. Their styles are different. So the system must have uh, uh, the gauge in process that takes into account different styles of working. And last of all, identification of effective and ineffective performance. We may perform, but sometimes all the performance cannot be taken as development, cannot be taken as contribution to the organization's success. Some performance that does not fall into the area. Say for example, I'm doing a lot of paperwork in the company. I'm typing a lot of document and printing them. That may be performance, but that does not relate with the core responsibilities that I have. That kind of ineffective performance must be taken into account. The next is aims and roles of the system. The information collected by the system most frequently is used for first, salary administration. Very important decision for the managers, for the human resource managers, that how compensation plan is completely based on performance management system. At what level, to whom, what salary has to be paid, whether it has to be increased or kept the same, or whether they should be put on an incentive plan or a mixed plan. All these decisions are based on performance management system. Then performance feedback, yes, it is used for giving feedback to employees. The idea is not to terminate people. The idea is not to call separation into place. The idea is to use the existing talent, and if it needs any improvement, advising them. So identification of employee strengths and weaknesses, this has to be told to the employee so that they have an improvement plan for themselves. One could be given by the organization, the other could be developed by the employees themselves. Now the second part is strategic purpose and then administrative purpose. Now what do you mean by strategic purpose? uh, Earlier the companies would take the whole market into account. These days they have to work with specific set of customers. They have to work for a specific area of the market. They do not have plenty of resources to capture all the sections of market. There are different, for example, we have got flagship devices, we have got budget devices, we have got luxury devices. So the company has to decide what area am I targeting, and so the strategy has to be designed. And last of all, administrative purpose. You need to administer the behavior. You need to contain the unproductive behavior, unproductive actions of the employees. And this could be done through sharing the reports of performance, that you are not performing or perhaps you are performing. So we are observing you closely. Uh, you need to think about your continuation with the organization, and this could be done, this kind of administration could be done only through such reports generated by the management system. Now the next part is it is we are going to continue talking about the aims and roles of performance management. The first is, it is informational. Information generated through the system can be easily shared with every stakeholder in the organization, whether it is the immediate manager or the top management or the board of directors or even the customers and peers. So a lot of information, helpful information can be generated through the system. The next is, it is developmental. Yes, only when you tell people that you are improving upon or you need to improve upon certain areas, only then they could think of development. Again, if you talk about sports or we take any area into consideration, different levels are set for them. In sports, there are teams that play under 14 of age, under 16 of age, under 17 of age. Who tells them that you now qualify for a bigger team? The people who observe performance, and only then development happens. The next is organizational maintenance. Maintenance, in simple word, it means to continue using the same asset time and time again, by either overhauling it or improving it. So we cannot completely replace the whole system. We cannot completely replace the whole manpower you have every year. It is nearly impossible. So what to do now? We have to compete with bigger organizations. We have to compete with the competitors. So it is better to improve your own assets, own power, own resources that you have, to maintain it, and then fight for it, and then fight the competition. That's what is the system for. Next is documentation. Yes, everything has to be based on documents. How would you tell somebody in air that you need to improve your performance? It should be shown to the people through comparisons, through diagrams, through charts, that either you have performed well or you need to improve upon. Then there are disadvantages of poorly implemented performance management system. So far, we have talked about the importance. We have talked about what it can do for the organization. It can help them deal with the change. It can help them maintain their resources. But there are disadvantages of it. It gives you power, but then with power comes responsibilities. So if it is not maintained well, what could be the possible effects of it on the organization? First is increased turnover. Yes, your employees are going to leave you every now and then. They would not want to stay with you if it is not properly maintained. The real picture does not come out. The real performance evaluation, if it does not come out, and the employee feel that I have been working so hard, I have been working for longer hours, but my performance is not improving, or people are not appreciating my effort. So this kind of poorly maintained system could lead to increased turnover. Next is use of misleading information. If it does not have proper formulas, ratios, calculations, you could have a lot of information that could mislead you, and you might take wrong decisions. You might ask the wrong employee to leave your organization, or you might continue with the person who is not contributing at all. So such kind of misleading information could be generated. Next is, yes, it is wasted time and money. An organization cannot afford that kind of wastage, especially time. This needs people to be working on this system. It needs time, it needs funds. So if you do not put it to the right place, or on the right place, you're going to waste all your resources. Next is lowered self-esteem. uh, you know, in the heart of your heart, you would know that I'm uh, working hard for this organization. If that effort is not recognized, and if it is not told to you that yes, your part is very important and we appreciate that and we are observing it, then you will definitely have a very low self-esteem, and then you would not come out in open and work on the front line. Damaged relationships. Yes, if you do not appreciate my efforts, why would I like you? I would not want to see your face even. So these relationships would be damaged, and the HR would have to work harder to build teams. Then there would be decreased motivation to perform. Yes, we have talked about it. Employee burnout and dissatisfaction. uh, Burnout, yes. Say for example, you are somebody's trying to lose weight, and they've engaged into a lot of cardiovascular exercise activities, or they are becoming very very active. But if there is no result, or they are going into the wrong direction, or they're doing the wrong kind of exercise, and they are not able to see visible results, they will feel burnout and they will quit, continue doing exercise. Same is with the employees. If they do not see that I am able to bring about changes, they will feel burnout and they will stop performing. Okay, these were the disadvantages. There are more to it. Let us see. First is increased risk of litigation. Uh, a properly set human resource management system can put the manager into a very difficult place. You can have a lot of cases of litigation where if you are firing somebody for wrong reasons, they could file a case against you, and then you have to again waste time. Even if you have stronger situation, you will have to waste time. You will have to visit a lot of people to prove that you were not wrong. Then unjustified demands on managers and employees resources. Yes, managers could be forced upon to give extra benefits or be biased because of the wrong reports and the wrong data generated. Varying and unfair standards and rating. uh, we always look for people who perform, and not just perform, consistently perform. Say for example, every year where you have a different kind of report for consistently performing employees, what kind of impression would they take of the system? That the system has a lot of problems. It is not right. It has got a lot of things that are not in place. So it will be unfair for the employees to get different evaluation every time it is done. Next is emerging biases. uh, yes, it would be it is very simple to understand. The one who would favor you, even if for the wrong reasons, you would feel inclined to listen to that person. That is called bias. And then a lot of biases would emerge in the organization if this is not in place completely. Then unclear rating systems. You are rating one parameter. Say if you talk about sales, it is very clear that the number of units that you have sold or the amount of service that you have offered to the customers, that could be used as training. But employees usually say that I was working very hard all this time, although I have not made enough sales, but I was working very hard. I was out in the field working for the organization. So that kind of unclear rating system, if that is in place, they would feel dissatisfied. Fine. So that is all about the disadvantages of having it maintained not in a proper way. Now let's talk about performance management process. I told you in the beginning that is not just one step. It is not just an activity that you do and forget. It is a whole process. Every step follows the other, and it has to be followed to be able to be successful. So the first one is we have to look into the prerequisites of this system. Then we have to talk about performance planning, as to what kind of performance are we expecting from employees. Then we have to think about performance execution. Once it is planned, we have to now think of execution. I'll give you a very simple example to understand this whole process. Say for example, you are driving on a highway, and you are planning to overtake the car that is being driven in front of you. Now you have to plan your performance, that the moment I will get some space, I will increase the speed of my car, I will blow horns, I will indicate the person, and then I will try to execute this action. But this has to be planned before. Planning in terms of getting space, blowing horns, and indicating the other driver. So this has to be then executed. The next is then this after this execution, you have to do performance assessment. Once you have overtaken the car, you will talk to each other. Yes, it was a very nice maneuver, it was a very safe and careful maneuver, you are a nice driver. That kind of comments would be shared. Then performance review. So it has to be observed, and then it has to be reviewed whether standards were met or not. And last of all, recontracting. Once the performance has been reviewed, the whole review report is going to be given to the employee, and then they will have a renewed contract. And from now on, or from the next year onwards, we expect you to perform on these areas. So we now have a new contract, although it may be verbal in nature, but then we have got a new agreement. So let us see what the prerequisites are. The two most important prerequisites before the system are: first, knowledge of the job in question. This is done through job analysis. You have to completely analyze the job, what responsibilities, roles, and what is the output measure. This kind of knowledge has to be put in place. The next is knowledge of organization's mission and strategic goal. Whether your job analysis or the job that you're going to do will help the organization achieve its mission. So that kind of prerequisites we have to be aware of. This is the first step. The second is performance planning. What is it? Employees should have thorough knowledge of performance management system. That means It is usually done with the students. Students have this question, sir, what kind of question paper can we expect in the examination? What is the pattern of the examination? What is the evaluation criteria? How many marks would be allocated to a particular section? This kind of question is asked by students, and this kind of information must be given to the employees also, that we are going to be evaluating your performance based on this assessment system. So when they're aware, they will have they could plan their whole effort in the whole year, that this is where I would be tested, so I have to work in this area and bring all my efforts from other areas and perform here at one place. The next is planning discussion includes, it talks about results, it talks about behavior, it talks about developmental issues. Yes, to be able to go to the next level, or to be able to become a manager, supervisor, we always talk about results. Just as in examinations, to move to a different standard, you must be able to get basic minimum result or basic minimum qualification. Only then you could be sent to the next level. It also comes with behaviors. Behavioral aspect has become a part and parcel of your performance. Even if you have performed well but have not had good relation with the people, your performance won't be taken as a complete performance. And then last of all, developmental issues. What are the issues that we both are facing as employers and employees while developing the talent? So this kind of performance planning has to be done. The next is performance execution. First is how to execute this. Commitment to goal achievement. Different people have different goals. There are people who are sort of happy to go lucky. They are happy with what they are doing, and sometimes they don't mind staying at a particular place for a very long time. They feel satisfied with small gains. So such kind of goal setting has to be done by the employees, whether they want to achieve more, achieve less, or achieve something which is consistent. The next is at the execution stage, following factors must be considered. Then ongoing performance feedback and coaching. This has become the part of modern performance management system, that your performance is observed in the real time. They don't, these days they don't wait for the end of the year. They don't want the want wait for the end of the project. They will tell you there and then, in the real time, that your performance is going out of the track, or it is on the track. Then communication. Yes, a lot many times a lot of meetings are held. It is communicated through mails, through discussions, that what could be done to improve the performance. Next is collecting and sharing performance data. It is quite very important for the decision makers, whether they have to make change to the existing talent pool, or the people who have different skills. So this data is quite important. And preparing for performance reviews, a lot of preparation has to be done. Assessments would happen, discussions would happen, competencies would be shared with the people where they have to perform. So this kind of preparation is done before you execute performance management system. The next is performance assessment. Now, once you have planned it, now it is the time of the assessment. How do we assess it? It is important for employee as well as the managers to take ownership of assessment process. Yes, you have to take the ownership. As employees, you cannot say that I was not aware of the system, I was not aware of the standards, I was not aware of the whole process, that you are observing me in particular ways. You have to be aware what kind of system is in place. At the same time, the managers have to be telling their senior managers that yes, I know that what parameters I have set, or we have set for the employees, where they would be evaluated. Next is to help the organization to use the information obtained in a productive manner for the future requirements. Yes, every year we have to plan or change the structure of the human resources. We have to bring in new talent. We have to say bye to the redundant talent, or the talent that is of no use, or perhaps to improve them. So for all this, we have to have assessments of the employees. Then inclusion of self appraisal is also beneficial in all manner. Like we talked before, that appraisal is a part of the system. It tells the weaknesses and strengths of the employees. It is quite beneficial for this whole management system. The next is performance review. Once the assessment is done, now the review is going to be done. Reports would be made, ratings would be given. It would be clearly put in short sentences that this was the area, this was the task that you could not complete on time. The first is review stage involves meeting between employees and the managers. Yes, the people who have not performed would be called for a meeting, and a brief would be given to them as to what were the areas we were expecting higher performance on. Next is this meeting is called appraisal meeting. You might be after working a lot for the whole year, you might have a lot of expectations, some explicit, some implicit, and your expectations might not be the right expectations. You might be feeling that you have worked a lot, but that has not translated into output. That would be told in the appraisal meeting. The next is review meeting helps employee and manager to design developmental plans. Yes, if you have a lot of people not being able to perform, then you need to have development plans. You have to decide on training, you have to decide on coaching, you have to decide on simulations and different methods that would help employees react and behave as it is expected from them. Then next is renewal and then recontracting. Once the assessment is done, the review is done, new terms and new conditions are set for the employees. If you have if you were not able to perform well last year, or your performance was short of the expectations, now that remaining part is going to be added to this year. Now you have got increased challenge, a bigger challenge to deal with. That is called renewal and recontracting. What happens here? It's identical to the planning stage. That means, yes, you replan. Once you have assessed, once you have every piece of information in hand, you replan the strategies. So recontracting is very close to the planning stage. We go back to square one. The next part is manager uses the insights and information gained from those phases to reset performance goals for the employees. New goals could be given to the employees so that now in this very year or in this new year, they do not fail to perform as per the expectations or the goals or missions. Then that is all about the process of performance management system. Now to understand it, how how the organizations have taken this as a challenge in the modern times, we have seen two different times: pre-COVID and post-COVID. Post-COVID situation is very different. We know a lot of companies have permanently announced work from home system. Companies like Deloitte, companies like Microsoft, Facebook, Twitter, complete shift to work from home culture. Now, in that situation, how would you do performance management? Somebody sitting at home, although they are working, but how would you analyze their behavior with customers or the peers? This calls for a different sort of planning. Then we have got a lot of other problems. Flexible timings are being offered. Project work is being offered. So for all these modern tasks, what has to be the performance management system is the biggest task for the companies. Let us take one example, understand it, how Deloitte was able to do that. This is a little case study which will help us to understand the case better in the modern times. Now, Deloitte found that their current approach to performance management, annual 360 feedback. Now, 360 feedback, let me tell you, is feedback that comes from every stakeholder. May it be your co-workers, may it be your customers, may it be your bosses, everybody who deals with you, they give you feedback. That is called 360 feedback. Now, they had shocking results. They thought and they got to know that they are wasting shocking 2 million hours per year. See how what kind of calculations they have done, that they were wasting 2 million hours per year, and if these hours could be put to the right place, they could make a bigger difference. So they were wasting these many hours. Even more significant, they realized that their system wasn't engaging employees at all. They found out that their system was not bringing the employees relate with their system. Performance levels were also dropping drastically. In an effort to combat this, Deloitte built something much more nimble, real time, and individualized. They wanted something that was focused on refueling performance in the present rather than assessing it in the past. So we know Deloitte for their processes, but they found out that it was a faulty process. They came up with a different plan, which was real time, individualized, right? And the insights that they got from this change are quite very interesting for all of us to understand. And this change in the system has these following insights. Let us see. It is very important for all of us to understand this. First insight: the most powerful commonality between Deloitte's highest performing teams was the belief that I have the chance to use my strengths every day. Very important point. The system says that it is not just that you perform at the end of the year, you perform in particular months, you perform in particular time zones. It is that you can use your strength to perform every day. And when you are performing every day, why you should not be evaluated? Why should not be your hands shaken? Why should not be your backs patted if you have done something good on a particular day? So this is very important insight. Yes, that means that this system has to be on rolling on basis, and this must be done continuously. The second insight, very important one: the key is that people rate other people's skills inconsistently, but they are highly consistent when rating their own. Yes, it is a human nature that when we are rating somebody else, we are quite very inconsistent. We may not give them the same rating all the time, or we may not be objective all the time. Sometimes it is about the subject, sometimes it is the bias, sometimes it is the relationship. So a person may not be the right evaluator, wrong reports must be generated, and then this could be a problem. Very important insight. The next one is: shift your performance evaluation focus from the past to the future. Do not compare your performance with the past. Compare your performance with the performance that is required in the future. For example, uh, let me take the example of cricket again. Some 10 years down the line, a score of 250 on the scorecard was enough for teams to defend it. But these days, even a score of 350 becomes less to be defended. So this kind of futuristic approach, that in the future the game is going to become more technical, the game is going to become very different. So even the higher scores would not translate into success. Such kind of comparison to the performance in the future has to be done in the system. And then the last is: ratings reveal more about the rater than they do about the ratee. Very interesting and funny fact that this rating, it tells more about the nature, more about the evaluative thought process, more about the cognitive process of the evaluator himself or herself. It is not about the ratee. They might have a lot of biases in their minds. For example, if somebody is able to make sales but has not got good behavior, I may put him on a very low scale on the behavioral part. But is this the real rating? That is a big question. So all these insights were gained by this change that Deloitte brought about in their performance management system. Well, that is all that I have to bring, all that I have to share with you today on this session about performance management. I hope that this session and the information shared with you must have made some sense, and must have made you aware that you need to work, but you need to keep in mind that your performance is going to be observed, and you have to look into consistently the areas that you are good at, and that the areas where you need to improve upon. So, Harmeet, that is going to be all in
Yes.
this session.
Yes. You can stop sharing your screen now, and maybe we'll
Right,
take
right,
one or two questions from
sure.
the audience and the students we have received. That was
Right,
a
right,
wonderful
right.
session, Ronak. It was a very enlightening session where we understood about the importance of performance management and how, as an overall growth in terms of teams and different teams working together, how important is feedback and 360-degree feedback, as you said.
Yes,
Thank you so
yes.
much, Ronak. On that note, we have some
Thank you, Harmeet.
questions. If if we can
Right.
take that.
Right.
Shrishti asks how to tackle non-performing employees. That's a very interesting question, though.
Every organization would face the situation. We all have people who sometimes do not perform. We have to, in that case, do not be very decisive in the moment. We have to call those employees for meeting. We have to find out the reasons because of which they are not able to perform, and we have to compare their perform. In this case, we have to take their past performance into consideration. Were they performing in the past? If yes, that means they have talents and skills to offer us. If they're not performing now, what is the problem? The problem may not be of the employee completely. The problem could be of the system. They might have some personal problems which an HR manager has to take into consideration. It could be training, it could be understanding of goals and targets. It could be a lot of reasons. So reasons must be found out. They must be put on a developmental plan, and then we have to review their performance.
Right, very well put up like that. My next and the last question to you would be, how has there been any change in the performance management system roles compared to the past decade? This question is by Devansh.
Okay. Now, some 10 years before, the performance would be very objective in terms of number of units developed, number of units sold, the amount of services offered. But in the modern times, it has completely changed. Like I told you, 360 performance evaluation is done. It is not just that few people would tell you how have you done in this year. Uh, and it is a matter of question that if you were able to achieve the goals and targets, but was it the right way of doing it? Was it the right way of doing it? Right? Did you cheat your customers? Did you fool your customers? Did you fool your manager? What did you do? Right? If it is through right measures, it is fine. If it is not, then we must look into changes. So from few people to 360 degree performance evaluation, this is the change that we have seen in these 10 years.
Absolutely. That was such an insightful session, Ronak. In fact, the case study which you mentioned actually told us that how many hours did they waste? I think
2
they
million hours,
2 million hours were
hours a
wasted.
year. Right. Right.
So it's because of performance management, we understood that 2 million hours were wasted. Had it been
Right.
used into something productive,
Right.
maybe they will obviously upgrade in the next years
Right.
to come.
Right. Right.
Thank you so much, Ronak. Any one last message or any token of message to all the MBA aspirants out there you would like to give?
Uh, See, the first thing and a very important thing that now as an MBS aspirants, you have to take this word into consideration, master word is associated. So whether you pick up a trade, whether you pick up a skill, whether you pick up an industry, you have to become a master of it. You have to understand industries. It is not just that you join a job, you get salary, come back home. No, it is not like that. You have to make yourself an important part of this whole machinery, without which the machinery may have difficulties to work. So you have to do a lot of value addition to yourself. You have to have maturity. You need to know how business decisions are made. You need to know how performance is evaluated. It is, don't just take it as a job. Think that you are looking for a career, and make planning for at least 5 to 10 years. That is what I would like to tell the students today.
Thank you so much, Ronak. It was a wonderful, insightful session on human resources and performance management. In fact, anybody who wants to have a career in human resources can actually go through this, lecture series and understand how to go about things. Thank you so much, Ronak. And this was our fifth trial class successfully completed. We have so far completed 5 trial classes, Sunstone trial classes, and we will see you soon next week. That is on Wednesday, same time, that is from 2 p.m. And every Friday, we have a industry guest speaker session. So we will see you there. And if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel yet, please do that right away. And you can follow us on Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn to get notified on interesting content, videos, posts, and everything you need to know to keep yourself updated about Sunstone University. This is me, Harmeet, signing off, and we will see you soon with yet another interesting webinar. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.